Welcome to Matters Podcast, where combat sports, mindset, and real-life lessons collide. Hosted by Derrick and Nate, we dive into jiu-jitsu, wrestling, MMA, and the grind that shapes athletes inside and outside the mat. Every episode we bring stories, strategies, and raw conversations that fuel growth, resilience, and community. Stay tuned because it's more than a fight, it's a lifestyle. Hello, welcome back. UFC 327 just went down. A legend retired the right way. That one of the best wrestlers on the planet just signed to the UFC. College wrestling right now is basically free agency, chaos, and the crazy part is this is all connected. If you're into MMA, jiu-jitsu, or wrestling, you'll be watching one of the biggest shifts in combat sports right now. Welcome back. How's it going, man?
Going good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Enjoying the South. This is the nice part of the transition from winter to hot weather without the mosquitoes so much.
Yeah, right.
If it gets too muggy and mosquito everywhere.
Yeah, it's beautiful out right now. It's so nice.
Yeah. Are you able to go down a ride?
What's that?
Are you
I
able to go
haven't.
on? Not yet.
No, I
Yeah,
had to take it out, but I just haven't made.
yeah. It's one of the things like you have to do maintenance, but like find the time to do it.
Right. Yep. Right now my car needs maintenance, so
Oh, man. What happened to your car?
I just got to change the oil on mine
Okay.
and my girlfriend's car.
Okay. Speaking of, I have to get my tags.
Yeah.
Kind of important. Didn't get pulled up for that. But meanwhile, you see people like 3 years.
Yeah, I know.
They have somebody with that 30-day tag from 2022. It's like, how are they still driving around like without any problem? But those are the ones that never get pulled over.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah, man. So, getting back to UFC 327, a lot of things was going on during that event. Surprisingly, it was a good card, even though that gate was not as big as you would think it was. Early on, I saw a breakdown of the last four. The top one was 14, second was 12 million, third was 11 million. This one was $6 million.
That's a big drop.
Yeah, that's a big drop from 14. And it's the same venue too. Less than half from number one spot. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. It seemed like a decent card. I mean, Jiri is pretty popular.
Yeah.
Dominic Reyes. Yeah, I mean, there's strange.
Even Holland, even though he's in the prelims, he's pretty popular as well. But yeah, and a lot of things I saw was also the newer guys were doing better. But also, we talking about some of the people that were in there, they were a little long in the tooth. Some of the fighters, some of the wins that were in there. For example, remember the Russian guy that we talk about, Muskarov? I think that's the name. That he was 16-0. That he had like 16 fights in the last 15 years. That he was some of his fights canceled. Costa was able to beat him, but I forgot to mention last week that was Paulo Costa at 205. He usually fight at 185. This one was at 205.
That's a big jump.
Yeah. Going against undefeated Russian.
Came out on top. That's crazy. That's quite a win.
Yeah. I think that was more impressive than the Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. That fight was boring. A lot of people were getting bored to tears. That fight.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. They're not willing to engage. They were afraid that they were going to get a double knockout. I guess that's my guess. Because a lot of people were predicting that double knockout.
Yeah.
But they were not willing to engage. A lot of people were booing. Dominic Reyes won, but I don't know how much it affected his stock as far as with a win, beating Johnny Walker, but it's a boring fight. It's not like it was grappling or anything. They were just standing in front of each other. Playing patty cake, 1 for 1. 1 for 1. 1 for 1. I'd rather see fencing with dildos than to see this. It was that terrible.
That
Fine. I was like, oh my god, boo. It was bad. The other fights were able to make up for him. Let me pull up the card so you can be able to break some of those matches because a lot was going on. Well, it's time for the prelims. You had Holland, which he did pretty good against Randy Brown. Was impressive. Did you hear about Kevin Holland? He bailed out Danny Rodriguez. He's one of the fighters, so he can do a rematch against him. He was in jail in Mexico. He bailed him out so he can fight him.
I did hear that.
Who does that? That's wild.
Thank
And
you, I guess.
yeah, it was like okay. No, no, I thought we fucked up if Danny Rodriguez beat him. Like, dude, I thought we had a deal. It's still lost. Let's should have kept you in jail. Send him back to jail. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200 either. Straight to jail. But he was able to beat Randy Brown. Randy Brown looked like he was out of his element in that fight. Kevin Holland was beating. He had a couple of reach and able to tag Holland, but Holland was doing pretty good in that match. Another was impressive was Aaron Pico. He was former wrestler. Just beating Patricio Pitbull, and Pico was so fast in this match. He has nasty left hook, but he's able to. And then at the beginning, he was having a hard time getting the takedowns. But once he was able to get the timing of his tagging him, and when he was able to get his guard up, he was able to find the timing for get some takedowns and stuff. But he did pretty good, impressive against a known fighter, Patricio Pitbull, even though he's at the end of his career. But that was one impressive young fighter during the card. That was pretty good. Then another one was crazy was remember the guy that I told you about, Josh Hokit? He was freaking pro wrestling a la promos. He's freaking weird. That guy he went against Curtis Blade and he was able to attack Curtis Blade in the first round. And he was those two rounds they were going at each other. They were just you remember Don Fry match against the Japanese guy? Like Rocket Sock him? It was just like that. They were going at each other
Really?
for 2
Wow.
rounds. Like, just stuck in and then I think they did a count of how many times whenever they would disengage, Josh would flip off Curtis Blade, just shooting the finger. But it also didn't know about this before this was that he wrestled Bo Nickel at 197, I think 2019 in the NCAA's Nationals in the semis. He lost against Bo Nickel, who's beating everybody. But he said Josh Hokit was the only guy that wrestled him, like wanted to beat him. Everybody else folded in front of Bo Nickel because that was Bo Nickel's senior year. But Josh Hokit was the only one. But also he's a double two sport athlete because he played football in the fall and he did wrestling in the winter for the Francisco Fresno State, which is impressive. And he also I think he played for San Francisco 49ers. Oh, I think he was in the practice squad. San Francisco 49ers football too. And then of course after Josh Hawkins won, because now he's 9-0 though. After he beat Curtis Blade. Curtis Blade I think was that 5th rank. And it does make sense his game plan of talking trash against heavyweights. Because remember we talk about the heavyweight division is a shallow division. So if you contract your way out, you can be some of these guys that you think you can be. Because Curtis Blade is a wrestler and he was able to beat him. So it was something after that match was over. Joe Rogan was talking about do we have a room for one more match for the White House card? And then why I brought it up in the between fights. He's like, okay, early because Donald Trump was there. He was like, hey, Donald Trump was here. He's telling me how come Derrick Lewis is not in the White House card. So Dana White called Derrick Lewis, see if he was to fight Josh Hokit, and both of them agreed Josh Hokit versus Derrick Lewis in the White House card. The trash talk is gonna be crazy, man. Those two guys.
That'll be good though. That should be pretty solid.
But yeah, just crazy. So both of those guys going against each other. My pro wrestling and doesn't give a fuck. Just trash talk. Derrick Lewis. But I think Josh Hokit might have the advantage in this fight because he's fast. Derrick Lewis in his last fight threw like 6 punches, if that. Considering he lost a lot of weight and
True.
he was really slow too. He's flat footed. So if the same Derrick Lewis shows up to the White House, Josh Hokit might have him and catch him on Sunday.
Interesting.
Because how old is Derrick Lewis? Oh, he's up there.
Yeah, especially if it turns into any kind of prolonged fight as well, like Derrick Lewis isn't going to do well.
Yeah, he's 41 years old. Derrick Lewis. Jesus. So for the stat for that fight, Josh Hokit versus Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades threw 345. Josh Hokit threw 298 strikes. A heavyweight. So at 350 and 300, 650 punches. That's a lot of punches.
That is.
Looking at this test, it looks like Curtis Blades won this match. Because he landed 214 out of 345 compared to 181 out of 298. There's no submission attempt. Hokit had more significant strikes, but it's by 3. Only by 3. So it's 177 to 174. But Curtis Blade threw 302, so I had lower percentage. And Curtis Blades had 2 takedowns out of 7. Hackett had none. So you think Curtis Blade will win the match?
Yeah, that is strange.
But he had a knockdown. But he wasn't. Well, he just buckled him. I guess that's why.
How did it look?
They were back and forth against each other.
Yeah.
Because one went back up the other one, then the other one tagged the other one. They all back up and then uppercuts.
That's strange. Yeah.
It's one of those matches you hear the coaches say, "Move your head, move your head," because they were just going at each other. And then Paulo Costa, like I said, versus Mursakanov. That's his name. Asama Mursakanov. They went against each other, and it looked like Paulo Costa caught him with a high kick and broke his forearm or something because it was a big, like, indentation in his forearm. And then went again, and he just buckled down. He landed on his head, but he was buckled down. He just gave up. And then it come down as a knockout.
Okay.
On the 3rd round.
Dang. Huh.
Usually Russians don't go out like that, but this Russian then 16-1 now. Big stepping stone for Paulo Costa. I wish he was talking a lot of trash about him. Asama. Paulo Costa. But when he was cutting weight, he went to a Russian bathhouse. Like Turkey, you know the Turkey and Russian bathhouse? That's what he went to in Florida to cut some weight because I wonder how much weight he has to cut now that he's 205.
That much, right?
Well, some people do. For example, Shell Sonnen, he said he used to walk around 220 when he's 205, 185.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that much weight. That's like 40 pounds almost. 35 pounds to make championship weight. But I think it'd be that much for him. Not going 205. And then the main one was the main event. Do you hear about that one? Carlos Ober versus Jiri.
I haven't heard good things about it.
A freak accident. It looked like it's going to be the same way as Pantoja. Whenever Pantoja went for a high kick, he landed his elbow and dislocated his elbow. Well, this one, Carlos Ober blew his knee during one of the exchange, and he was able to plant on it on the foot. Luckily, his go-to move is a check left hook, which had to do with the front foot, not the back foot. So Jiri is reckless. He has a bad habit coming in head high, no hands down. As he came in, boom, got caught with a left hook and dropped. He got finished. Ober stood up and like, dude, this, if I don't finish him right now, I'm done. He did just that, finish him.
He did, yeah. Wow.
As champion.
Yeah. It seemed like a lot of people are not happy with Jiri's performance.
Yeah. He said mercy. They're trying to do mercy like he was trying to give some pity against his opponent. Although I think Dustin Poirier said, no, he was playing with his foot. That's what he was doing. That's what happened when you play with your foot. You get back. But it looked like he said that he hurt his knee and he was pointing down. So he trying to stay in the same place. And I agree, like a gentleman's agreement, we're going to stay here so that way that you don't have to worry about moving so much. And then boom, got clipped and dropped. Which you don't do at champion level.
Right?
You
No.
could be a champion.
Right.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. No, you can't be showing mercy like that.
No. Put him under his misery and just let the stretcher losers do the job afterwards. It's a combat sport for especially if you have a Bushido and a samurai code in which most of the duels were to the death when samurais used to go against each other. If you really go into that, follow that code, make sure you follow it to the T, right? Apparently, he didn't read the fine print in Bushido. And he got massacred for it. And publicly.
Yeah.
Because, and the thing about it, Oberg, I don't know what he was going. I guess Dana White was punching the air whenever that happened. Because it is a worst case scenario. Because it is a vacated title they're fighting for. Oberg won, but he's going to be out for at least 8 months.
Yeah, that sucks.
What do you do for, like, do you get an interim time? Because that's the reason Jiri vacated the title in the first place when he won it, because he tore his shoulder. And this is a vacated title in which they were competing for, and now the champion blew his knee. Do you vacate it again?
Yeah, don't let Yuri come back for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, no. Well, there is a boogeyman in the weight class that is be willing to get it. Uncle Life. Uncle Life's there. But who they put him against? Because what's Jiri's record now?
36.
Yeah, but as far as like the last few matches.
Oh, okay.
Because he lost against Pereira twice. Because Uncle Life brought that up. That Jiri Prochazka does not belong in the title contention because of his record. So he lost to Pereira in 2023. So let me see. 1, 2, 3. So he's 3-3 since then. Well, he lost against Pereira, won against Rakic, lost against Pereira, then won against Jamal Hill, Roundtree, but lost against Carlos Ulberg. All of those losses were finishes, and all of those wins were finishes. The finishes are impressive. It's winning, but also like takes a toll on you when you get those kind of finishes. How much time should he take off after this finish?
Yeah, it's true. I don't know how many times. I don't know. I thought he had it. I really did. I thought he had a good chance. And maybe he did. But when you make decisions like that, to show mercy or whatever, it's certainly not winning any favors with Dana.
No.
And that's kind of the big thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that doesn't bode well for him in the future.
He didn't take mercy on Claire Roundtree when they was beating him off. He's bloody up. I mean, he was losing the first round, I think. He lost the first 2 rounds. He went to get Kyle Roundtree. He just picked it up on the 3rd round, and he hit him so hard. It was one of those knockouts. I remember, one of the worst knockouts is usually when you get rocked and you fall face first. That's how you know. Usually people don't naturally fall forward in the stiff. It's one of those knockouts. He hit him and just boom. It's like game over. He didn't take no mercy on that one, in that match. But I mean, that wasn't for the title. Then for the title, you have to take it out of everybody's hand, out of the referee's hands, out of the judge's hand, even out of the promoter's hand. You just make a statement, show that you're the champion. You have the opportunity. Even Royal Lango, remember the video? You blew it. I was like, how would you do that in the championship? Do you feel bad for him?
For Yuri? Not really. It seems like it is his own decisions, I mean, he's done well for himself. I don't know. He's a strange guy who lives by his own code. I don't know. I don't really feel bad for him, I wouldn't say. Just, he does his thing.
Yeah. Joe O'Malley, what he said about him. But he's been a shit or some tree right now. That's who taking that loss. We think it's mercy. Do you think it's that energy now? Because he's going to be a new Dan now. Do you think that has something to do with it? He's gotten soft.
It could, yeah. I don't know.
I wonder if that has something to do with it. Get a little bit of soft instead of going for the kill. But man, you have to look at the big picture. He just took money out of your kid's plate by taking the loss.
Yeah.
Damn. Because I don't think. Now, put it into perspective. How much press do we have to do as a champion? Because I don't think he did much last time he was a champion because he got injured his shoulder. He vacated the title. I don't know how much he will have to do marketing and competing and going to camp as a champion. Now with being having a new kid, I wonder if that will affect his decision. Not decision, but his killing instinct, having a sense of urgency for going for the kill.
I mean, it's hard to say. I guess you could probably say better than me.
Yeah, because that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Raising a kid and having a camp during that time is difficult. And then not just the camp as a champion, you have some media obligations that you have to do as well. For press, you are the only champion in your country. That's MMA in Czech Republic. Think about when you get there, how much press you have to do there as well.
That's
People
true.
seeing you, man. That doesn't. Don't let that stopping you from becoming great either.
You gotta, yeah.
Because it's only a time period that you're able to compete and be able to be that good. After that, you'll be able to live the rest of your life.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
this is the only time that this is your prime. Man, it sucks. I don't know who he's going to go for therapy, but he's going to need it after this.
Yeah. And yeah, who knows? It's a new stage of life. It certainly does change people.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's going to have plenty of time now that he lost and he got knocked out.
That's true.
As far as the matchmaking, so some knows here about that. Because what I saw though, like all the fights that happen, because usually the UFC, there's a difference between who deserves a matchup and who gets it. There's two different things, but there are like the best fights. So the UFC is also a business. They should take care of the excitement, marketability, and momentum. Do you think they reward the deserving fighters, or do you think do we make the most exciting fights for as far as the promoting part? For example, the Derrick Lewis versus Josh Hokit scenario. Josh Hokit is no rank. Derrick Lewis is down the decline as far as the ranking, but he was one of the one of one cards. They were both added to that card. Bar that they are both not big. Well, Derrick Lewis is a big draw. Why that match does not make sense?
Yeah, true. I mean, at some point you kind of, I don't know. Yeah, there's a balance to be had, but I feel like getting the good matches regardless of the rank. I mean, and the White House card is supposed to be something special as well. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of a unique case, I would say. But
Because there are other fighters that wish they were in that card. They were not.
true.
John Jones.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that both of them were added last minute to the card. That's one way to build their own stars, especially in the shallow weight class, like we said. Speaking of building contenders, let's talk about someone who might skip the line completely. Gable Steveson. This is massive signing. Olympic gold medalist, elite level wrestler, freak athlete. And anytime you bring someone like that to the MMA, starts asking some questions. Do you think the comparison makes sense? But the sport has evolved. As far as Brock, do you think the comparison between him and Brock Lesnar, do you think he have the same impact? Or do you think the sport has evolved beyond that and heavyweights are more skilled and well rounded? Because remember Brock Lesnar came in, he was able to go to people. He was able to go to Heath Herring. He lost against a skilled grappler, Frank Mir, his second UFC fight. But he was able to go against a veteran in Randy Couture, even though he had like a 6 injuries advantage and he was a lot heavier. I think Couture was older, a heavyweight.
I mean, I guess I would guess for sure it's evolved somewhat, but I mean, I don't know. It's so, yeah, I don't know. Brock Lesnar was a huge deal when he came in. I don't know. There's no denying he was, he had his skill. He was a brute. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe things are a bit more well-rounded now, but I don't know. It's Brock Lesnar in his prime, I think would do okay even now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that we talk about it, Brock Lesnar was good. Also, he was a one-time national champion in All-American. Gable Steveson, I think he's two-time national champions, four-time All-American, and Olympic gold medalist. So he's not good in college, but also good in world senior level.
Yeah, that's true.
That is impressive. And also, he's a freak athlete. Like he can do a backflip, a heavyweight, like a freaking bear. So that's impressive. Will he be? Do you think? Well, his wrestling changes everything. Can he strike? Well, you see a couple of matches that he was able to strike. The was it like dirty boxing. What was the match that he did? That he was able to knock out the guy because he was purely striking. He wanted to get better at. He was able to beat that guy. Some of the matches that he did against was able to be good at striking. But also, that's beginner's level striking compared to the pros. He was caught. Was it a head kick in the last fight? I think he got caught in a head kick. That's the only thing that I've seen that he has been susceptible to as far as striking. But as far as like striking, he's pretty decent. He's pretty fast too because of striking. And I mean, he has a good coach. I think Brandon Gibson, that's his name. Is under John Wickle John and Greg Jackson's Albuquerque. So he has a good striking coach, so that's not a problem. People that he can test with.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. How do you think the UFC is going to build him to become a star? That's the question.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll run him up through. I'm sure they'll, probably jump him through the ranks a bit. They seem to like to do that with people that, people like, or just in general, who are already somewhat well known.
I wonder if they put against Alexander Volkov. He's tall guy. I don't know if they put against him. Who are the guys that are in there in the heavyweight? That they can put him against. They can favor. I wonder if they're going to give him a safe debut, or they just completely just drop into the deep end of the pool. Which, if he has a new contract, I would think he will try to go with a safe bet because he's not making that much money. If you're not making that much money and you're getting put against deep end, that you the risk for failing is high. You're putting too much risk and not enough money into this kind of risk. As his manager, which John Jones probably could attest to that, he probably tell him to go safe bet, build himself up, so he can get some matches as an experience.
Yeah, I would imagine. Just get a feel for the octagon, get a feel for the pressure and the wide variety of potential hurdle.
Yeah, because it is a different. He have competed in the NCAAs and he has been international level, but MMA is a different beast of his own when it comes to competing. Because he has so much more probabilities. Worst case scenario, you get pinned in wrestling, but in here you can get submitted, you get knocked out, and two of which are things that he's not familiar with. He's not used to going for submission, and he's not used to going for a knockout. So it is something to see. It will be interesting how he does coming up the ranking. Now, on the other side of things, we saw the end of an era. Cub Swanson retiring, and not just retiring, but doing it after a win. That's rare in MMA. Most fighters don't get that storybook ending. They take too much damage, they stay too long, and it's kind of fade out. But Cub, he went out the right way. And what makes you think about legacy? Because he wasn't a champion, but if you watch the sport long enough, you know how exciting he was. The fights, the style, the impact he had on fans. That we talked about it a few weeks ago as far as what makes a good fighter despite not winning the belt. And he's one of those examples. Cub Swanson. He was long in the tooth, 42 years old, I think he was. But he had notable fights against other guys. He beat Cron Gracie. He also, I think he had fight of the year. Against Korean kid, I can't remember his name. Choi Do Ho in back in 2016. Almost 10 years ago. They went against each other. And even though he was winning, he still like, you're like, come on, let's go here. Let's go bang it out. And they just went against him. They have notable wins against Darren Elkins, Jeremy Stevens, Dennis Seaver. He beat Dustin Poirier as well in the decision. But this is UFC on Fuel TV. That's their team. That's how long he's been fighting. He KO this guy by the name of Charles Oliveira. Have you heard that name?
Maybe.
Knock him out. Ross Pearson. He was good. Even though he has, I mean, he had a couple of losses, of course. Jose Aldo's, Chad Mendes, Ricardo Lamas, Frank Yeager a couple of times, Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, Renato Moicano. Moicano went up to 155. So he was a guy that it was fun to watch compete. And you can tell by during the World Cup of that fight that he was ready to retire. He's just at the end of his career. He's willing to let it go and just give knowledge back to his peers and learn. He opened his own gym in I can't remember the name of the place, but it used to be a pool, and it turned a pool into a water mats on the wall, and they put a mat on the floor, and then just open like a door, and you go right into the pool. Anybody watches from above.
Wow. Okay.
It's interesting that
Yeah.
but that's his gym that he opened back at home. Yeah, but it is nice to see a legend like that go out on his shield and winning as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, that's so rare. I mean, it really, and I kind of get it. It's like when you win, you feel like, I might be able to get another win out, you know? It really takes losing hard to realize, like, oh, I'm falling behind. But at the same time, you don't want to leave on that note either. So it tends to drag out, and it's such a long process to retirement. But no, going out on a win, yeah, that's the way to go. I hope he can scratch his itch some other way and not come back, you know, like so many people do.
Yeah, which is good whenever having the aspect of the coaching part, because he doesn't worry so much about himself. It's about the people that around him. Which I think he was on with Greg Jackson 1.2. That was fighting other. Well, having his own gym and giving back to the community for a sport that he be able to provide for him. Then he talks a lot about his kids a lot now. So he would spend more time with his kids and be able to also give back all the knowledge that he had during his whole career, which dates back. I think he was the only one that was left out of WEC alumni. That's how long he's been fighting. 2004 was his first fight. 22 years. He's no one. That's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been fighting most of my life.
Yeah. And that is at 145 too. Usually not a lot of fighters fight that long at 145.
Yeah.
Lower weight classes. He was still fast during the fight too.
Really?
He was fast still. To crack. And what you said about winning, I think last fight he won. He was going to retire, but he won. He's like had one more fight in him. So he did just that. One more fight and just hang it up. But he was good. One guy that reminded me of him, Aaron Pico reminded me of him. The way he strikes.
Really?
Yeah, they both strikes alike. They're fast. And they're able to crack too. I don't think he gets enough respect by the casual fighter, but hardcore fans that remember him from the WC days, they do remember how good he was, despite he wasn't a champion. But he's a good fighter. And for the next segment, and while legends are retiring in MMA, grappling is evolving fast right now. UFC BJJ 7 is a perfect example of that. The biggest thing that stood out to me was wrestling is becoming more and more dominant in jiu-jitsu. If you can't wrestle, you're behind. Simple as that. And it's changing the way matches look. More pressure, more top control, more emphasis on athleticism. Another rule that set plays a role too. Because depending on how you score things, points versus submissions, you're going to influence how athletes compete. So now the question becomes, is UFC BJJ helping grow the sport, or is it changing it too much from the beginnings? Jiu-jitsu mostly ground control. What do you think?
It's so hard to say. I feel like jiu-jitsu hasn't reached final form or a good final like competition format, I guess, because right now there is a lot of room for, stalling and, you know, stuff that crowds aren't going to want to watch.
Yeah, IBJJ stuff.
Right. Yep. Uh, so I don't see a problem with trying different rule sets and, just trying to push it to be more exciting. That's generally a good thing, I think, because some of them are going to work, some of them are going to fail. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it affects.
Yeah, because you have more technique now with the wrestling part, but it's still the same end goal. The Helio wanted to go for the finish. He always wanted to go for the finish. They used to like to drag out fights because going to the deep end, they be able to do better.
That is the downside of jiu-jitsu, and not the downside, but I think the issue that it hasn't blown up as much as it could is because of that. But that's one of the beauties of jiu-jitsu, is that you can drag it to the deep waters, and that if you know what you're doing and your opponent, even if he's way stronger than you, doesn't know as much what he's doing, you can just wear him out.
But yeah, the frames are going to buckle anytime soon.
Yeah, that that's kind of the beauty of jiu-jitsu, is that you're not escaping once somebody gets you. Um, but yeah, it's not necessarily going to be a fast finish either, which everybody loves to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also one thing that I didn't take into consideration before, we talked about before earlier about how long competitions that usually are matches. UFC BJJ is 3 matches of 5 minutes. That is a long time,
That's pretty exhausting.
especially the score system, 10 point system. That's what you use, right? 10 points more
I
system.
think
Who wins
so.
the
I think
round?
so. Yeah.
So yeah, those 5 rounds. So I was wondering why, because usually in MMA they have a 3 rounds for non-title fights, and they have five for championship. I wonder like if they were gonna do that for UFC BJJ, but like, dude, no fucking way. 25 minutes for a championship fight, and they usually have a couple of championship fights in one event, so it will take up a lot of time if
Wasn't
they're
that
not
what
going.
Metamoris did?
What
I
did
think it
they
was
do?
Metamoris. That was a sub only competition, and the rounds were 25 minutes straight.
That's a long event. Was it? It was it. Did they do one recently? Or was it Polaris? I'm thinking about. But they did one in Wales. That was in that castle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that was fun. That's when they did a thing. Who's number one versus Polaris team? But it's a weird quintet because they really go not just one time. It's like a 2 hour long quintet. But if the smaller guy, so you have somebody from one weight class lower than the other one, the smaller guy submits the bigger guy. It's 2 points that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So strategically, you can start with, and it's not, you just keep going till the score goes.
Right. Wow.
It's a lot of matches,
Yeah.
but 2 hours, that's like an open man.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
2 hours. But make it interesting going in for that long. But how many people can you keep interested during that time?
That's the problem. Yeah. A lot of the hardcore guys, sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that are not about.
Yeah. Casuals will not be able to keep up with it. Some notable wins was Adele Fornarino. She was able to defeat Alex Enriquez, which was the last time she lost was against her, I think. Yes, she was able to avenge her loss and compete. But she went on a run of beating all the people for ADC winning absolute. Adele. It was because after she lost against Alex Enriquez. But she was able to compete. Then you have also the debut of Declan Moody. Which looked pretty impressive. I'm trying to remember what he got. He was able to get a back attack, get back control, and for some reason, the guy was trying to defend that hooks in. while he was getting his neck attack, which the commentators addressed that. You never try to defend hooks in when someone's trying to attack your head.
Right?
You address, nobody's going to choke your stomach.
That's the wrong priority.
Yeah. So Declan Moody was able to lock in a rear naked choke and textbook Nicky Rod rear naked choke finish. And beat Patrick. What's his last name? Patrick Gaudio with that mullet. That neck cape did not come handy to defend that rear naked choke. He wasn't fluffy enough to defend that.
Got to step up the game.
I know, right? Try to put some, what's it, wire ring? Just back in the day, they used to use the spray. You know those rock videos they used in the 80s for the ballads?
No.
That's a hairspray used to. I think it's called wire ring. To put that thing in there, that thing starts your hair. It's like your hair looks like a fucking helmet when you put that thing on. It's wind resistant. You can wear that shit and your hair does not move out of place. You ride a motorcycle without a helmet. But yeah, man. But Declan Moody looked pretty impressive. I think he looked more impressive than Nicky Rod and more impressive than Merrick Garland in their debut for UFC BJJ.
Really?
Yeah, I think he did look more impressive than both of them. It's really mobile. And he said the one thing that they addressed was interesting was Declan Moody was a smaller guy when he started doing jiu-jitsu. That is a bigger guy. So he's able to move like a smaller guy, but he's a bigger guy, which makes sense because that's why your kids get better at jiu-jitsu because they're so little, but they're so used to moving around. Another one was impressive was Rafael Ferreira versus Kingston Bayon. Bayon, I don't know why he was doing so at the beginning. He went for a double leg takedown, but he ended up on his back and mounted. So like that's a terrible way to start. Yeah. And then another one was the final sequence, if I can remember correctly. I think Ferreira was trying to go for a shoy bar from Tikimura. He was upside down. He's able to take the bag, secure the hooks in, and lock in a rear naked choke. And Bayon, he was shaking his fingers and like, no, get a rear naked choke. 5 seconds later, he was tapping out and saying no. Submission that he was talking about.
Nah, he's just warming up his hand,
Yeah.
for the tap.
He was like, no, which is gonna be, it's gonna be this way, it's gonna be not this way. He didn't know which way it was. He was already going out when he was shaking his finger. But dude, all hands on deck when somebody has arm around your neck.
That is,
especially it was like 3 minutes left, I think, on the match. Wow.
Yeah, you could potentially survive.
Yeah. Somebody around your neck for 3 minutes?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
With hooks in. No. I dressed that already naked shock, man. Another impressive win was Wagner Russia versus Taggin. Andrew Taggin. He's the first, despite Wagner Russia being that old, he's the first competitor that was able to take Andrew Taggin to the distance. He lost the decision against Taggin. But man, I keep forgetting how Wagner Russia has the style of competing that he gets in your fucking nerves. Just grab your neck, push on your face, smashes you. And at one point, he all checked Andrew Tackett, and Andrew Tackett bit his arm.
Really?
Yeah. He's like, that's what you get for old check. Yeah. But technically, all checks are not illegal, but biting is. How gay is jiu-jitsu? To make that make sense. If that's not jiu-jitsu in a shell, I don't know what it is, man. He was biting Wagner Russia. He's like, "You biting me?" Even the referee in front of the referee, and you can tell his teeth, his Wagner Russia's rash guard was between Andrew Tag's teeth. You biting me, man? Like, dude, you grabbing my ass. Most
That's
urgency there.
Yeah, he does. He has a way of really pissing people off.
Oh yeah, dude, he's so annoying. If I was gonna give him, oh man, I'd be so annoyed.
Yeah.
Doing that shit. It's like, what the fuck, man? I'm gonna stomp you, man.
Yeah.
And now another thing, I forgot to mention Randall Willing. Also, she had first UFC BJJ win via knee bar. At the beginning, he looked like she was trying to wrestle and stuff like that. And then after that, she just went for it, just trying to grapple. Joko was there like, hey, she doesn't want to grapple. Just grapple her then. Just do that. She doesn't want to grapple. Take it to the ground. But she was able to get a knee bar because I don't know if you remember her first match was against Bellamere. A really highly competitive because she competes in wrestling, she competes in jiu-jitsu, she competes in MMA, she competes all the time. Somebody really hard to beat. But Brandon Williams was able to get her first win, UFC BJJ. Speaking of wrestling, about something is going on recently, happening in college wrestling right now is the transfer portal is chaos. You got high level names like Ryan Crookham, Maya Shapiro, AJ Ferrari, all moving around. It literally feels like free agency. And a big part of is that NIL money, name, image, and likeness. Now athletes have more freedom, more options, more opportunities, and that's great for them. But also raises the question: what happens to team loyalty? What would you think about that? Because not so much anymore. Athletes used to compete and have some pride of representing the school, but now it's showing in front of him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm leaving." What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's kind of too bad. I feel like a lot comes from the loyalty, of having a really strong, united team, consistent training partners. I think those things really do benefit the sport. So, people just jumping around for money. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some good programs out there and I'm going to be some great wrestlers, but yeah, I do think that the loyalty does tend to be a good thing.
Yeah, even though it's a individual sport, you need your team to be able to build up. And what do you think happens with long term development with all these athletes transferring around? Because if you keep transferring, there's no such thing as long term development within a program.
It's hard to say. I mean, some people it might benefit, you get a new look from a different coach, but also at the same time, having a coach year after year, the coach gets to know you, you develop a game underneath that coach. The coach knows that game. Yeah, I don't know. It's can be hard to really develop a good relationship quickly with a coach.
Yeah, like for example, the example of Maya Shapiro, he was I think it's 2-time All American thing, and he has one more year left in Cornell, and now he's transferring, which is nuts. Would you rather graduate and have a diploma from Cornell while wrestling, or having this Ivy League school, or get a diploma from a different school, just because you want to test the waters and see what if you be able to do better in the sport?
I feel like
Crazy.
that just doesn't make much sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, Ivy League Cornell, you already how long you been there? 3 years, 4 years? You were in there, and now you're not getting your diploma from there because you want to test your water somewhere else.
Yeah.
Uh, and now Ryan Crookham, I think it's Lehigh. He wrestled for. Last year he was competing. He got injured, so he was able to make it national. This year, early in the season, he got injured again, and he was able to compete. Next year, he's transferring to Iowa, which Iowa is one of those teams that have a lot of wrestlers that are injury prone all the time. Which I don't think will be the best of his injury when it comes to physical therapy from school if he's injured that much injury prone, getting 2 seasons ended injuries, and then going to Iowa. I think they're known for getting a lot of cortisone shots to numb out the pain, but still breaking down. That's an interesting move for that guy. It's crazy. Then another guy, Robinson, he was I think his freshman year with NC State, he won nationals at 125. This year, he was All American. I can't remember his place, but he's on the move. He's going to Nebraska this year. No, next year. Which is interesting. Moving out of NC State, he had a good relationship with the coaches in there, but he's on the move, moving to Nebraska. It is Nebraska also is a top 4 team too, so you can't blame him for going to a team like that. Yeah, oh shit, I forgot. Virginia Tech having a lot of guys coming in. And Virginia Tech in the ACC against NC State. I don't think he wants to. He wants to go to the ringer for the against Virginia Tech. But also, it's the Big Ten in for Nebraska. Also, it is a tougher conference there, and more guys that higher caliber there. I don't know if he's challenging himself there or not, but I think he probably is, especially going to a top 4 school within the last 2 years. And another one was interesting guy that moved in the transfer portal within the ACC. NC State and UNC are rivals, and this guy I can't remember his name right now. He transferred from UNC to NC State. Like when we talk about loyalty, dude, these souls and loyal. This guy, how do you go from UNC to NC State transfer within the same semester?
Right?
That is rude. When I'm from, they call it Judas. I don't know about you, but they call it Judas. Those guys, they call him that name for it, making that kind of move. And then Stanford, that's another school. Stanford, just put into perspective, their team was about to get cut off in 2021. That's the one where Shane Griffith, he did a strike. He wore a black singlet instead of the Stanford. Even the rest of the finals, won nationals with a black singlet with Stanford, and kept the program alive. Now Stanford, they were able this year. They placed 6th place in nationals, and they had a couple of guys that were All American. I think 3 or 4 guys, and they have a national champion, a freshman. In 9, I think it was. They had a champion there. Of I think 3 of the All Americans, they're considering transferring to test the market value of NL, which is crazy. They do them awesome. Well, they lost their one assistant coach going to NC State, so they are in there also. Consider where they are living in Stanford or Silicon Valley. How expensive is there? Yes, they might have the college athlete. If you have to make some money somewhere else, it's not as expensive to stay in. Will you make that move or you stay there? It's a question.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on the situation, I guess, but that move would be pretty tempting.
Yeah, I mean, college life is a freaking struggle regardless.
Yeah.
Anywhere else as well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you're not having career when you're in a freaking nice freaking college that you're going to. My bad. Like everybody else is able to have a better than you, but college wrestling is tough. I'm pretty sure the coaches will be able to figure out something for you, especially Stanford, despite how expensive things are, because they're able to come up with some plan for school for them. Well, even the coach said that they're probably contending to be one of the top teams in the country, probably be in the top 3 coming up. But if they're having guys that they're developing and they're leaving the program just to test the market value, their chances of being that good, it diminishes just because of money. I think their average is 9.9 scholarships per team out of 30 team members. But I think Stanford only uses 6, don't have 6 available scholarships. So that narrows down some of their resources for them. I'm not sure they use NIL deals for their wrestlers to keep him locked in or help them give him some money while they're still in college. It is tough to develop a good core of wrestler and build a team. This is keep going on, in which the government, I can't remember, the Congress is trying to pass a bill to minimize that, having athletes are only able to compete 5 years from when they graduate high school. Yeah, unless you have, I think it's parenting, like become a parent, something like that, or you go on a religious mission, kind of like Mormons. Sometimes they go on a downline session. That's the only session, or I guess military too. You have those kind of sessions. That's the only sessions that you're able to compete in college.
Yeah, I think of a lot of hockey players as well.
What do you mean?
A lot of hockey players, my understanding is they're in college, but they're like 30.
Wow.
Yeah, they come back in like late and play.
Wow. That is nuts. I don't think D1, they have guys like that. D2 and D3 in wrestling, they do. I can remember you have to have consecutive eligible years in D1 for wrestling.
Yeah.
Because in college, I think D2, they had a guy that was recently, I think it was in his 30s. competing there. Well, what's the name? Lovato. He's competing recently. In D3 was Oklahoma City for wrestling. I guess that won't be available anymore.
Strange.
But wrestling in and of itself is a young man's sport. If you wanted to do that, do as old that you get, it's on you, right? It's on you.
Yeah. I don't know how much advantage you have.
Dude, you want to change level and you don't come back up, man. Oh, you just pulverize. I don't know if you ever watched that commercial back in the day. They used to like got milk when the old man. I think it was Dave Chappelle did a skit about that. When the old man got milk, he didn't like drinking milk, so he picked up the barrel. His arms just turned into dust because he didn't drink milk. That's what's gonna happen whenever like you get older. You try to compete against this young man. If you want to compete against younger men, sign up for local tournaments and all of that. Don't sign up for a whole season. That's nuts.
Jump in 2 feet. You got this.
Dude, whole season?
Head first.
Yeah. And you have to show up to class too. Like, oh, our professor's here. Oh, we can start class. Like, no, well, it's oh shit, I thought you were going to go over the syllabus. No, man. Are you assistant professor at least? No. Yeah. That's nuts. A lot of people do it with the GI Bill. Our military. Get and go back to school. But they're not competing though. They're just going to school, taking classes, getting some credits. Oh, man, yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of the transfer portal because out of those people that go on the portal, no, I mean, unless you're a big name, you don't get picked up anyways. You just to quit your job whether you have another one line up. What's it called? One in the hand is worth two in the bush. One in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
Kind of scenario. Like, dude, if you know how big name, you start to go transfer portal. Like, who the fuck is this guy? They fresh out of money, man. And also, another thing to bring up is that transfer portal is from April 1st to the 30th, which is the end of the semester. That's when it's open. If you don't get picked up by the 30th, good luck, man.
Yeah. Oof. That's some pressure.
Yeah, especially if you're not All-American or national champion or a national qualifier.
Those who are looking for you.
What do you do? I mean, crazy. But for closing, when we step back looking at, we just talk about Gable Steveson entering the UFC. It's moving like free agents, jiu-jitsu evolving, legends retiring. This is a shift. Combat sports are blending together more than ever. Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, MMA is all becoming one system. And the fighters who are going to see in this new era, they're not the most skilled. They're the ones who adapt the fastest. Do you think that's fair to say? Because remember you bringing up that jiu-jitsu itself, not so much jiu-jitsu, but more grappling base.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty fair. Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty fair statement.
Yeah, because you're able to have all these different arts together and be able to combine them. In which that's what the Gracies want to do the first. See, test what jiu-jitsu beat everybody else. But now jiu-jitsu, a lot of people learning the basics and fundamentals of jiu-jitsu and combining it with their own disciplines.
Yep. That merging of them all is the hard part.
Yeah.
The part that takes the skill, but the part that really makes a difference.
There were three things I can't remember the third one was. Danaher talk about that jiu-jitsu needed for it or grappling needed for it to become more evolved. I think the third one might be just going for submissions, but one thing was leg locks was the first one, and wrestling or takedowns. If those that are not involved, the sport will be able to. That's the holes that the sport had. But now we're seeing that more often now. People be able to take it to the ground and turn it into the Mexican ground karate that everybody knows for. So it's nice to see that that's coming full circle now. Despite it's after his time for coaching, it's happening now. Those things that he talked about. But it does make sense what he was saying about the takedowns and the leg locks. But I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Good here.
Yeah, close out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Give us a listen on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Give us a follow on Instagram. Let us know what you like and what you don't like. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mad Matters podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube, so you never miss an episode. Drop us a review, share with your training partners, and keep rolling on and off the mat. Until next time, keep fighting, keep learning, keep growing.